Hi, and welcome to One Cool Thing. I'm Alex Clone, and I'm here with Angela Mascaratolo. And today we're actually going to be talking about two cool things. We're talking about Samsung's latest smartwatches. There's the Galaxy Watch 4 and the Galaxy Watch 4 Classic. Now, there's one big difference between these two watches, and that's $100. We're going to break down why there's that difference and which watch you should buy. So, Angela, do you want to just kick us off with a kind of rundown? What's the difference between these two watches?
Yes, sure. So I've been testing them for about a week now. They're still in pre-sale, but yes, so there is $100 difference between them, as you noted. And the main difference is the bezel. Okay, so this is the classic model. You'll see that it has the physical rotating bezel here, which allows you to flip through the menus and the lists really easily.
And that bezel also sort of makes it look like a rugged outdoor watch to me.
Absolutely. Yeah. It has a sort of more rugged look. You can see the numbers on the edge of the bezel. And the bezel also makes it a bit thicker than the Watch 4. So I'll show you the Watch 4 now. And this has a really clean, modern, they're saying minimalist, streamlined design. And you can still scroll through the menus by just running your finger along the bezel, similar to how you would rotate the physical bezel. You just run your finger along the side of the screen, and that lets you scroll through lists and menus on the standard Watch 4. So yeah, you can see, I'll put the Watch 4 below, and then Watch 4 Classic below, and then the Watch 4 above it. I don't know if you can see, but the Watch 4 is thinner than the Classic model, and for me, I personally prefer the more streamlined design. So that really, the rotating bezel, and then the case material, which on the Classic, more expensive model, is stainless steel versus aluminum, on which is a little bit less durable. That's really the main difference in them, and why the Classic model is $100 more. Whether it's worth that upcharge for you, that's up to you. But for me, I think it's highly debatable. I personally like the thinner, sort of not as rugged looking Watch 4 over the Classic model.
So can we just talk, before we go into the specifics about the watch, I know we said that there's a $100 price difference, but let's talk about the actual prices of the watches themselves. Now, the Galaxy Watch 4, the standard model, that starts at $250, correct?
The Watch 4, the standard model, yes, it's $249.99 for Bluetooth and Wi-Fi only. If you want the LTE model, then it's going to be $50 more.
Okay, and then the Watch 4 Classic, that's going to start at $349.99 with the same deal. If you want the model that has cellular connectivity, that's going to be an extra $50.
Correct. And both of them come in two sizes, small and large. My review units here, I have the small version of each of them. And then in terms of colors, the Classic model only comes in black and silver. The silver one has a white strap. The black one obviously has a black strap. And then the Watch 4, you get those two colors, or the smaller model comes in pink, and then the larger model comes in green. So you're going to get a little bit more in terms of color options with the standard Watch 4. Now, for my review unit, beggars can't be choosers, but I had requested the white one the white and silver one in the Classic, and then the pink one. Those would have been my preferences in the Watch 4, but they were like, oh, we only have the black one. So, it's okay. It's okay. They still look good. Honestly, the look of the Apple Watch with the squared screen with the rounded corners, it's very divisive. Not everyone really wants to wear a square watch. With this, it's going to give you, whichever one you choose, a more classic, circular round watch look, but it's going to give you all those great smartwatch features.
That is a great segue. Speaking of smartwatch features, what exactly does the Galaxy Watch 4 do? And just to be clear, these watches, they function exactly the same. Outside of those things that we just mentioned, the different bezel and the different build, the stainless steel versus aluminum, all of the functionality, the software is the same between the two watches. So now when we're going to be talking about those things, it applies to both of them.
Yes, absolutely. Same battery, same connectivity, same memory operating system, which that's a big point here. Same processor and sensors and user interface. Everything about them is basically the same in terms of features. So for the operating system, this is a big difference from last year's model with the Galaxy Watch 3. So we gave that one, a 4-star review. Excellent. It's a good watch, but this generation, instead of Tizen, it is running Google and Samsung's new unified Wear OS operating system. And the biggest thing for me with that is that it's going to give you more Google, more of the apps you want on the watch. So you're getting a really nice Google Maps app on this pre-installed on the watch. So it makes it really easy. It's been raining here, so I haven't really been able to test it when biking, but I think it would be really, really useful for cyclists out there because as we know, Apple Maps is really limited right now when it comes to cycling directions, and Google Maps is really comprehensive when it comes to that. So you can you can even search for destinations right on the watch, and then it'll give you turn by turn directions on your wrist, which I find that really useful. The other thing that's nice is it's going to give you access to the Google Play Store. So that's going to give you, a lot more apps than, were available on Tizen or are available on Tizen. So, Samsung is really hoping to attract more third-party developer interest. Now that it has Wear OS on the watches. And that is an effort to better compete with Apple. So Apple still has the best selection of third-party apps for their watch, but we'll see whether Wear OS can catch up now that Samsung and Google are collaborating on it, and it's on this new flagship Samsung smartwatch. So that's the biggest thing in terms of operating system.
Right. So just to kind of go over that, basically the Tizen operating system, that is Samsung's own operating system, and it has been pretty specific to Samsung watches the last few generations that they've released. We've enjoyed it. We've given those watches pretty good scores, but like you said, because it is basically on one set of watches, it's been pretty limited in the amount of apps that are available. It's hard to attract developers when there are relatively few watches floating out there compared to the Apple Watch. So by switching to Wear OS, which is the operating system that's on pretty much every other Android compatible smartwatch that you've seen, from Fitbit, Fossil, any sort of designer brands that you see, they often Wear OS. You're now going to have many more apps at your disposal. And that's the biggest difference here between the previous Tizen operating system.
Yeah, and so just to name a couple that I saw in the Google Play Store. So there's Google Fit, Google Keep, Google Slides, IFTTT, iHeartRadio, Lifesum, Pandora, Shazam, Telegram, and Google and Samsung are promising revamped versions of several of the apps that are already available, including Spotify. So we'll see. And they also say YouTube Music and Bitmoji are going to be coming to the platform too. So more of the apps you want.
So, okay, that takes care of the software side of things. Let's talk about the watches themselves. What are the features here? What sets them apart from other watches? And how have you been enjoying testing it?
Yeah, so I nerd out on the health and fitness features. And one of the most interesting things about this generation, and that we have not seen in really I haven't seen in a smartwatch before is the ability to measure your body composition and your body fat percentage. So it's a little bit awkward. So in the buttons here on the side, it has two buttons on the side of the watch. Both of the watches have two buttons on the side. And to take a body composition scan, basically you input your height, weight, and gender, and there are only options for male and female here when you're doing it. But you take your two fingers, your pointer finger and your middle finger, and you put them on. It's kind of awkward. You put them on the two buttons here, and you hold your arms away from your body. And then and you're not supposed to let your two hands touch. So it's like a little bit weird. You have to like kind of hold it just so, like this. But what it does is it works the same way. If you guys have ever used a smart scale, it works the same way as a smart scale. It's called BIA, bioelectric impedance analysis. So like a long word, but what it does is it sends a small electric current through your body, and that current measures the amount of resistance or impedance that it faces. And so when it's going through like water or muscle or blood, it's not facing a lot of that impedance or resistance. But when it's going through like that dense fat, it is facing more resistance. So it uses that to calculate your body fat. Same thing as smart scales do.
And now I can confirm, it kind of sounds a little scary that it's sending an electrical current through your body. You feel absolutely nothing.
No, you don't feel anything, no.
Yeah, I use a smart scale. Every time you step on it, I'm always thinking in my mind, like, oh, is it happening now? But you would never know. It just seems like you're stepping on a scale. And I imagine with the watch, it's a similar process.
Yes, but just keep in mind that if you wear a pacemaker or any other implanted medical device, that it can be, dangerous. And Samsung has a lot of warnings here, and even smart scales have warnings that you should not use them and do this BIA with the electric current going through your body if you have a pacemaker. And then Samsung also warns like pregnant women against doing it. But I've tested it extensively, and what I found was interesting. So the body fat percentage that the watch tells me I have is about almost 10 percentage points higher than two different smart scales that I tried. So, that's a pretty significant difference, around 15% body fat versus 25. So, I like the results from the smart scale better. But as for the accuracy, it's sort of hard to say. I also tested it against an Amazon Halo, which uses the Amazon Halo app, which uses basically machine learning and computer vision technology. They make you stand in front of your phone in your underwear, and they take pictures of you, and it's very weird, the Amazon Halo one. But then they compare the images of you to a database, and they say, okay, you have this amount of body fat. So interestingly, the Amazon Halo gave me a similar result as the Galaxy Watch. So, what I would say about that is, don't take these as like Bible or this is sort of just a reference that will allow you to monitor your progress over time, regardless of which method you choose. Like step on 10 different regular scales, and you're going to get 10 different results for your weight. And it's sort of the same thing with these body composition analysis methods and tools and devices. You're going to get slight variances from one to another, or even big variances. But what I did find was the Galaxy Watch measurements have been consistent over time. So, they have told me that my body fat is within like 2 to 3 percentage points every time. So, I would say to just pick one method, stick with it. I wouldn't necessarily buy the watch for this feature. I think that is a really interesting feature, especially, as a tech and health fitness writer. But just sort of use it as a reference. Definitely interesting to have on the watch, though, and sort of innovative, to put this technology into a watch. Other thing, snoring detection, which you need, it combines with your phone, the microphone on your phone, and once the watch you wear the watch to bed, and then once the watch senses that you're asleep, then your phone's microphone will start listening for snoring. And in the morning, when you scroll to your sleeping data on the watch, it will tell you, whether you were snoring the night before or not. Now, so I don't snore apparently, because it's always said no data. So I think that, people are going to have to look to a different reviewer who snores to verify that, that feature is working. But we at least know that it works when you don't snore. So yeah, but I think that one could be potentially more useful than the body composition analysis tool, especially for those who snore. It's really interesting. It would be very interesting to see that data right alongside of other sleeping metrics, such as your blood oxygen saturation level. So you can see, if I was snoring, my blood oxygen was lower. Maybe that's something I need to, talk to my doctor about. So yeah, those are the big things on the health front.
So those are the two sensors, features that set it apart from other watches. We haven't tested other watches with those features. For the rest of the health and fitness experience, how did you like testing that?
Yeah, so the main limitation for the Galaxy watches, and this goes for the Apple Watch as well, is battery life. So, I think about this in terms of health and fitness tracking, because, okay, so say you want to wear the watch to bed to track your sleep, and then you work out in the morning. Well, you might not have enough battery life to do both, or, if you do, you're going to have to plop it right back on the charger afterwards. So because, with both the Galaxy Watch 4 and the classic model, you're going to have to charge them every day. They only get a day of battery life, about 19 hours with the always on display enabled, a couple more hours if you don't have the always on display enabled. But in terms of health tracking in particular, I tested it against the Apple Watch Series 6, and the results were very similar in terms of the calorie burn and the heart rate metrics. So yeah, it's good for that. You're not going to be able to take it on, a big triathlon or a ultra marathon. It's not going to give you the battery life for that. There are a lot of more sport specific, longer lasting battery life, like Fitbits and stuff. Like, Fitbits will last like way longer, like the Versa 3, which is another great Android compatible smartwatch, an editor's choice. That'll get you, like about, several days of battery life. So better if you're doing like a lot of fitness tracking and things like that. So that's where that comes into play for me.
And we should note here, you've been mentioning comparing this to the Apple Watch. So if someone's deciding between the Apple Watch and the Galaxy Watch, the decision is pretty easy because the Apple Watch only works with iPhones and the Galaxy Watch only works with Android phones. So really, as far as that goes, you should make the decision based on your phone. However, I would like to go over, if you're comparing the Galaxy Watch to, the Galaxy Watch 4 to the Galaxy Watch 4 Classic, we gave the Galaxy Watch 4 our Editor's Choice Award. Do you want to explain why we're recommending you buy that watch instead of the classic model?
Yeah, so I just think for most people, the $100, I would say, discount. So the Watch 4 being $100 less, and giving you all of the same features that you get on the more premium model, except that rotating bezel and that stainless steel case. That's more desirable. Like, I've seen some people say, I would only get the one with the rotating bezel, but that's up to you. I would say that for me, I don't really think that the rotating bezel is worth $100 more. And both are excellent watches, and they give you access to all of those same features, as I said. So, we kind of prefer the Watch 4 for most people. Yeah, and it's interesting because Samsung is sort of following Apple's lead here, right? Apple last year released the Series 6, that's its flagship model, and then the SE, the lower cost model. But the Watch SE doesn't give you all of the features as you get on the flagship model. You don't have the always on display, you don't have the ECG readings, and it doesn't have an SpO2 sensor. So Samsung is sort of doing the same thing here. It's giving you different options at different price points, but it's sort of taking the opposite approach. It's giving you all those same features, but making the design a little different. Whereas the two different Apple Watch models, they look pretty much identical to each other, but their features differ. Here, with the Galaxy Watch, they look different, but their features are the same. So I think that in terms of features and the lower price point, the Watch 4 is the way to go. Plus, you can get it in pink or green.
All right. Well, thank you, Angela. That has been our overview of the Samsung Galaxy Watch 4 and the Galaxy Watch 4 Classic. If you want to know more about them, we have reviews up on pcmag.com. Thank you for tuning in to One Cool Thing, and we'll see you again next time.
Thanks. Bye-bye.